Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Winnie, and I'm here with my next episode of Sunday Dinner. First of all, I need to introduce you to a new addition to my family. This is my new baby girl, my daughter. Her name is Tatiana, and she is 10 weeks old. I just got her yesterday, so she's going to be the little sister to the other miniature dachshund that I've had for a couple of years now, Honey. Honey has been by herself ever since my other dog, Princess, passed away last year, and so she's been very lonely, and now Honey is very jealous that I picked up Tatiana. So here's Honey, so you can see her. Yes, baby. So now she's got a little sister. Now, I don't know that they're necessarily buddies just yet. As soon as I brought Tatiana into the house, Honey immediately jumped on her new bed and took her toys and her treats and drank out of her water bowl. So it's going to be a minute. It's going to be a process, but I think eventually they're going to all get along just great. At least I hope so. Okay, so today for Sunday dinner, my sister and her husband decided that they would provide the protein, and they went to a local restaurant and they were able to get some ribs, some brisket. They got a few sides, some coleslaw and potato salad. So that really took a lot of the pressure off of me. What I provided was some collard greens, which is something my parents love, and I cooked it with smoked turkey legs. And this is just my new favorite way to do it. I used to use ham hocks all the time, and they're great too. They tend to be a lot fattier though, but the smoked turkey legs give a nice flavor to the greens and not so much fat. So I really, really like doing it that way. And then I made some cornbread because my parents they just grew up eating cornbread anytime they had collard greens. And so it's kind of one of those things that just goes hand in hand. So I made that for everybody as well. Then I decided that I wanted to try out something that's been sort of on my mind, and that's making sourdough bread. And I had ordered a starter kit to make sourdough bread, but then I came on some recipes where you can actually make it with just using some Greek yogurt and some self-rising flour and a little bit of salt. And so I did that today. It wasn't necessarily something for the dinner, but I just wanted to do it because sourdough bread is really good for your gut. It's a very healthy bread. And so I did that. I mixed the flour and the Greek yogurt, and I just happened to have all of that in the house. I used some honey vanilla Greek yogurt because that's what I already had, and mixed that in with a little salt, formed into a little roll, made some slices on the top, and then I cooked it in my air fryer. Only took 15 minutes, and it came out great. It's sourdough. And so I think that's going to be a nice thing. My sister was really wanting that as well. So I'm going to be giving her one of them so she can try it out. And then I made some honey butter, which is just something that I use not only for the sourdough, but also for the cornbread too. Just kind of gives it a nice little taste. So for dessert, I decided to make a pear tart. And this was another recipe that I saw online that I wanted to try out, primarily because I had some pears in my refrigerator that were getting a little older, so they were very sweet, very soft, and so they were great for the tart. And also, I bought this new mandolin food slicer that I wanted to use, and this recipe calls for slicing the pears into very nice thin slices, and so I was able to use it. Essentially, you get a big old skillet, melt some butter, put some brown sugar in there and cinnamon and vanilla, and just kind of let it caramelize, and then add the slices of pear on top of that, and then put a sheet of puff pastry on top of that, and then brush it with some egg wash. Put it in the oven for about 25 minutes, and then once it's done, you literally take it out and then flip it over, and then voila, you have a pear tart. And when we served this tonight, it was a huge hit. It really tasted like something from a French bakery. And I think we're having an issue about a treat. It's like, I want that treat. Now, not to mention there's 10 treats all around the house, but since you have this treat, I want it. Okay, honey, stop it. Come here. Come on. No. So that was the treat that we all had, and it went over really well. Everybody liked it. I think I'll probably make that recipe again. So I'm going to take off my chef hat for a second and just take a few minutes with my doctor hat on to talk about dehydration. everybody knows what dehydration is, right? It means you don't have enough water. But the reality is that most of us walk around very dehydrated, and we don't even realize it. We do not drink enough water. We drink a lot of other stuff, but we do not drink enough water. Alcohol doesn't count because it is actually very dehydrating. Sugary drinks, soda with sugar, all of those things are not what we consider when we're talking about hydrating yourself. So I just want to give you an understanding about why that's important. Of course, we've all heard of people getting dehydrated out in the sun, getting heat exhaustion, even heat stroke, and, you get water through an IV if you can't hydrate yourself orally to get yourself back. But there's a lot of distance between to the point where you're that sick and a point where there's other things going on that you may not realize that are causing you problems. If you look at your urine and you see that it's very dark, kind of a dark amber color, chances are you're dry, you're dehydrated. The reason why you need to care about it is that water is critical for cellular processes in the body. We don't really see it that way most of the time, but the way your brain works, the way your heart works, the way your kidneys work, your GI tract, everything is connected to having adequate water. And if you're not drinking enough water where your urine is kind of a pale yellow color, you're more than likely dehydrated, even though you may not even realize it. Some people who struggle with chronic pain, fatigue, irritation, where they're just irritable, mental fog, high blood pressure that seems to be refractory to medications, all of these things can be related to being dehydrated. Even hunger. My patients that I have on my weight loss program, I'll tell them, listen, before you go to eat something, drink a glass of water, because the brain sometimes cannot distinguish between the feeling of thirst and the feeling of hunger. And so if you're actually thirsty and you're giving yourself food instead, you're really not solving the problem. In fact, you're making it a little bit worse. Also, your immune system requires that you have good hydration. And so there's a lot going on in the body that's directly tied to making sure that your body is well hydrated. If you're not getting enough water, all kinds of things can be going wrong that you may not think is related to hydration. And that's the reason why I bring it up. There's something else that you need to know. It's not just about drinking plain water. Water is great. And we certainly want you to drink water. The recommendation is like 8-ounce glasses of water, 64 ounces a day. That's kind of a general guideline, but everybody's different depending upon your body weight. That may be adequate. It may not be adequate. But there's something else. There's something else you need to know when it comes to hydration. Let me take you to other countries, like where people live on deserts. These folks in other countries that do not have access to the water that we have somehow manage to stay hydrated. How is that? Well, researchers actually studied them and found that the reason was because they were eating plants. And so there were plants out in these arid, kind of dry areas that would hold water, and they would eat the plants. And that would be the way in which they got hydrated. As a matter of fact, even the research has shown that the water that's in plants is actually different than the water that you would get out of a tap. It's different, and it actually behaves differently in the body in a better way. I say all of this to say that it's really important for you to get your fruits and vegetables. You've been hearing that forever, but God actually did that for a reason. It's not just the water. He put water in plants because that's a different kind of water, and it's a very hydrating water. It's a very useful water, and it works in the body in ways that just plain water doesn't. And so once again, here we go back to eating lots of fresh fruits and vegetables. And of course, we've talked about the nutrients and the fiber that's in all of these plants and how important that is. Also, water. There's a great way for you to hydrate yourself by simply making sure that you're eating lots of fresh fruits and vegetables. Another reason God was very on target. He knew exactly what he was doing when he made all the things that he put in the world for us, and for varying reasons that we don't even realize. But when you're not getting enough of the fruits and vegetables that are in the world for us to eat, you suffer for it, and you're not necessarily able to overcome that by just drinking water. So if you're not eating fresh fruits and vegetables, eating an apple a day, making sure you're eating pears, fresh fruits, eating salads, cucumbers, pomegranates, watermelon, all of these are wonderful, hydrating foods that are so good for you, not only just because of the nutrients, but also because of those wonderful sources of water that is so critical to us. So, okay, that's it for today. I'm not going to belabor the point any longer. Just think about your water. Make sure that you're drinking plenty of it. But in the meantime, you guys have a wonderful evening. Be safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.